Hey, Ellen. My name is J.P. MacFarland, and I wrote a book called Hope Alive. As you may or may not know, it's incredibly hard to get the word out about a book when you're essentially nobody and have very little platform and no publicist. This is made all the more frustrating when it's more than a book you're trying to sell. You're trying to start a conversation, raise awareness, and hopefully help people and save lives. An estimated 6 million Americans are going about their daily lives right now with unruptured brain aneurysms, just like I was 12 years ago. These silent killers so often go unnoticed until they leak or burst, either ending your life or at best changing it forever. My book is about a massive brain aneurysm hemorrhaging on my 20th birthday while I was 7 miles out in the Gulf of Mexico. I was rushed to the hospital via life flight, already in a level 3 coma. The doctors prepared my family for my inevitable death, and were no less than stunned when I awoke from the coma 2 weeks later. They called it miraculous that I had survived and was even learning to walk again. Then, 2 months later, on what my mom now calls the worst day of her life, a second, even bigger brain aneurysm hemorrhage, throwing me back to square one and taking away further use of my body. Before my aneurysms hemorrhaged, I had no idea that my grandma had had one, much less what an aneurysm was. Now I know that not only are you born with them, but they are hereditary and run in families like mine. I want to arm more people with the knowledge I have now, knowledge that came at the price of my left arm, my ability to run, my love for dirt bikes, and passion for racing cars. Something I learned in the aftermath of my life-changing strokes is the damage my bad habits were doing on these lurking aneurysms. They never hemorrhaged all the times I was thrown off my dirt bike and into the ground because they hadn't grown as large. Teenage years spent smoking and drinking heavily and recklessly saw them grow so large they burst on their own. I believe you're a former smoker like me. I smoked between 2 to 3 packs per day, depending on how much I drank. I thought it was no big deal. I was going to quit before I had kids, right? I rolled my eyes and never listened to the people who told me I should quit. I didn't care what they thought. I'd quit way before cigarettes ever took their toll. The diseases they caused wouldn't hit me till I was old, and I would have quit by then. But in reality, the cigarettes took their toll on my 20th birthday. I never got a chance to quit before I had kids or before I got old. The repercussions hit me right as I exited my teens. They could do the same to any number of other rebellious teens out there. I was young when I got hit with the ramifications of living like a moron for the entirety of my teens. One of the many reasons I've written my book is to save those who will listen from suffering the same consequences I did. In fact, for the kids who aren't sure just how hard it is to quit smoking, I'm not sure I could have done it on my own if I weren't in a coma for 2 weeks after my first aneurysm hemorrhage. I don't think I would have had the strength. I've recently seen one researcher identify smoking as the number one culprit of brain aneurysms hemorrhaging, and together alcohol and tobacco usage accounted for 90% of brain aneurysms hemorrhaging, both things I was abusing greatly before my 20th birthday. I wrote my book to share the knowledge I gained that could have saved me with others. I'll forever regret sitting on my book for a decade. I waited thinking I needed a better story to tell, but I'll always think of the lives lost to aneurysms while I waited. Lisa Colagrossi's passing was what ultimately spurred me on. I couldn't wait anymore. I had to finish and share my story. Too many lives were being lost. I often felt her there with me, pushing me when I'd get tired of writing, urging me to tell the world the story she no longer could. Her husband, Todd Crawford, is doing a wonderful job raising awareness and saving lives in her memory. I knew if you were to help me share my story with your vast audience, we could expand on the progress he's making and raise even more awareness. With 6 million people walking around with unruptured brain aneurysms and you reaching an audience of millions, there's no telling how many lives we could save. People have always come up to me asking, "What happened? You're so young to have a cane." I've gotten that one a lot. Some people know what happened by the stroke arm and are just so surprised to see someone so young with it. I don't look like someone who'd have a brain aneurysm hemorrhage, and that's what makes my story resonate with people. Knowing my story made a friend's husband quickly call 911 one morning when she fainted while getting ready for work. She'd had a headache and nausea, and knowing what happened to me, her husband knew it could be serious. Sure enough, she'd had a brain aneurysm hemorrhage. They aren't as rare as we'd like to think they are. This May, a friend of the family's 5-year-old daughter had a brain hemorrhage caused by an AVM. When her parents awoke to her terrified screams and found her in the kitchen pulling at her hair, they didn't know what to think. Most people wouldn't unless you know someone who suffered a brain hemorrhage. But as I read her story, I immediately knew what happened. I want to prepare your viewers so that other families, when faced with a similar situation, will know what to do. They'll know the symptoms and what to tell the 911 dispatch, the EMTs, and the ER doctors. But even more, I'd like to start conversations within their families about their health history. Do they have family members who had strokes or brain aneurysms that did or didn't hemorrhage? Do they have that great aunt who died of a stroke in her sleep and no one knows what type of stroke it was? Women and African Americans are in a higher risk pool, but no one is immune. One of my professors lost her husband, his father, and his uncle to hemorrhage brain aneurysms. And now insurance pays for her kids to get scanned because they can prove a family history. My dream is to use my book and share my story to save as many lives as possible. I know you're a very busy lady with a full schedule and many guests, but I'm hoping you'll be sympathetic to my cause and help me to raise more awareness about brain aneurysms, as well as the prevalence and preventability of them. Something people need to realize from all this is that if it can happen on my 20th birthday, then happen again 2 months later, it can happen to my friend, to a healthy 5-year-old girl who is recovering, fortunately, or to a healthy, popular reporter like Lisa Colagrossi. It can happen to anyone. Thank you.